What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother AB for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. Salute to you once again for showing love. And he had a question for me. He had a question about John Wall. For those of you who may not know this, John Wall officially retired today after 11 seasons, total seasons, that he's played in the NBA. Like, he missed a lot of years due to injuries, of course. So he asked me, do I believe or do I think that John Wall is a Hall of Famer? No. There's no thought process put into that. There's no pondering put into that. No. Now, I believe he was an all-star 5 times in his career. He's a 5-time all-star. Now, having said that, his peak years, from what I can recall, were in the mid-2000 teens to the late 2000 teens. And when you think about it, he really didn't have that much competition in the Eastern Conference at that position. Okay, now I'm not trying to say this should negate his greatness, but he wasn't contending at that time against Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook. Hell, I think by even that time, Rondo, who was at the end of his prime, was in the Western Conference too, like with the Kings and the Mavericks. So he didn't have a lot of competition. I'm not saying he didn't have any, but he didn't have a lot of top tier competition at that position. Also, I think what hurts him is that he played in Washington. Now, if he had been like an absolute terminator, like a Mitch Richmond, just terrorizing the league, but unfortunately he was just on a bad team, that's one thing. And even with that hurts Mitch Richmond's case with some people, because if you're a truly great player, some people feel like, well, you still should elevate your team to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? But going back to John Wall, I mean, what's the best can we say about him? He's the best point guard of the past 10 years since he was drafted, or 15 years, because we can't even say he's the best player of this century, because I think most of us would say that Gilbert Arenas was more impactful. Right? Hell, statistically, Bradley Beal was more impactful. So I don't think, if I'm mistaken, in fact, let's see if we could look up a few more things about John Wall here. Let's look up let's see something here. Look up some of his accomplishments. As I said, he played 11 years in the NBA. He was the first overall draft pick in 2010. He played for the Wizards, the Rockets, and the Clippers. He was a 5-time All-Star, All-NBA third team 1 year. Third team. So no All-NBA first team or second team selections, right? So that means, let's see something here. So he wasn't even. Let's go 2016-17. So the first team that year were Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. Second team, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Rudy Gobert, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas. Jeez, even Isaiah Thomas, the 1 or 2 year window he had with the Celtics was superseding John Wall. Yeah. See what I'm talking about? He's the third team. So even that's why I said, like, if he was in the Western Conference, he wouldn't have been an all-star some of those years. NBA All-Defensive Second Team 2015. All-Rookie First Team 2011. I guess the highlight of his NBA career was 11 years ago. He was a slam dunk contest champion. For his career, he played in 647 games, which is not a lot of games historically. And he averaged 18.7 points, 4.2 rebounds, 8.9 assists, 1.6 steals, shot 43% from the floor, 32% from three, about 78% from the free throw line. And I guess his best season, 2016-17, when he was seventh in MVP voting, 23.1 points, 4.2 rebounds, 10.7 assists, 2 steals, 45% shooting from the floor, 33% from three-point range, 80% from the line. And he appeared in just 37 playoff games. 21.9 points, 4.3 rebounds, 9.8 assists, 1.7 steals, 42% shooting, only 27% from three-point range, 82% from free throw line. So John Wall's lack of outside shooting ability in this era definitely handicapped him. He was a really good passer, a good scorer, but I remember him being more of a slasher. His shooting ability was hit or miss, and he didn't have the type of impact that was a franchise altering type. He wasn't that type of guy, and ultimately, the combination of Bradley Beal and John Wall failed. So no, I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. There's nothing to that. No. That's not hating. He's just not a Hall of Famer. Now, in fact, if you look at the history of the Wizards franchise, I mean, how many Hall of Famers have they had? Legitimate Hall of Famers. Like I would say Earl the Pearl Monroe, Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes. If you want to include Moses Malone, he had some productive years there. But he wasn't drafted there. And that might be it. I mean, Gilbert Arenas had that Hall of Fame trajectory, but injuries and stupidity fucked his career up. And Gilbert Arenas, compared to John Wall, is a Hall of Famer, and Gilbert's not a Hall of Famer. So that's that's how ridiculous it is to. And I'm not knocking your question; it's not a bad question because he just retired, but he's not a Hall of Famer. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell what you guys think.